Alright, this is Sunny Frost doing the random page analysis for our last practice. My page selected was, or generated by the random generator, was page 254. To set up this scene, it was where we just learned that Chuck, a friend of Toby's, got another girl, high school girl, named Tina Flood pregnant. Tina is a 15-year-old girl at Concrete High. She was a girl that was always trying to get with boys that would teach her badly. So pretty much just a girl who wanted sex out of boys. All we know about her was that from within the first paragraph it says, quote, "The girl was in my class at Concrete High, one of a pack of hysterically miserable girls who ran around in tight clothes, plastered their faces with makeup, chain smoked, and talked in class and did their best to catch the attention of boys that would attention of boys who would be sure to use them badly." As I said, Tina Flood was just trying to get sex out of boys. They also described her as, or Toby described her as a fat person who was not too attractive, and her nickname was the Flood. We can assume this either because I guess the metaphorical floodgates are open, either with her just being so ugly or just her being fat. And at the beginning of the chapter, it talks about how a sheriff came in and gave the situation to Chuck, saying, quote, "The sheriff came to the house one night and told Bulgers that Chuck was about to be charged with statutory rape." So Chuck was being charged with statutory rape, even though they were not even for certain that Chuck was the one who got her pregnant, because Tina has had sex, I guess, in this recent past with several men, but they chose, or well, not, Tina chose Chuck because she viewed Chuck as the best fitting person. But anyways, the sheriff told Chuck that the only way he would either go to prison for a long time, maybe even life, but or the way to get out of prison was that he would have to marry Tina Flood. This is because Tina wanted someone to support her, and Tina's Flood's dad, Mr. Flood, we never got a first name. Mr. Flood wanted to arrest all the boys that could have possibly been the father, but we can see this in the second paragraph where it says, "Mr. Flood, on the other hand, wanted to send the whole bunch of them to jail." But since Mr. Flood was easily convinced by her daughter, Tina gave Chuck a second chance to say, like, if you marry me, you don't have to go to jail. And this was because she wanted the support. I think she also just wanted someone in her life that would support her emotionally, and someone just, because she probably maybe was self-conscious about her looks, because as I said before, we know that she's fat and not the most attractive person. So maybe she wanted someone that she wanted the first chance she got to grab onto a man she took it to get someone to marry her. Maybe she didn't think she was going to possibly not get married in the future. So then, once all this happened and the sheriff left, Chuck came to Chuck's and Toby's room to tell Toby about what the situation was. And once he explained that, he said no matter what, he was not going to marry her. He would rather spend a life in prison than be married with her. He was very strict about this. Even the sheriff said, when he immediately said, Chuck said to the sheriff that he was not going to marry her, the sheriff said, don't come quick to an answer, just think about this. We can see this in the third paragraph quote. He said, he also told me that he had no intention of marrying Tina Flood. He said this to the sheriff said he'd spend the rest of his life in jail first. And he also said in this another quote, he wouldn't go to prison. He would go to prison. The charge was serious, and the case was against him, and others was rock solid. So if he didn't marry her, the case that they had was strong, and that he would definitely go to prison for a long time. Then Toby, on the other hand, said, or was, as he revealed to the audience, he was thinking to himself that he was with Chuck, that he wouldn't marry her either, and he also wanted to help Chuck out and being on his side. But before you think Toby is being a good person and help doing this, it's more for a thing in spite, because he wants to show Chuck that he is a good friend, unlike him when Chuck deceived Toby. Then as for Chuck's family, they were very disappointed in him. Toby wrote that the dinners after that happened were very quiet and awkward, because all you heard was the silverware and the chairs. There was no talking, and then after everyone left besides Chuck's parents and Chuck, they would yell at Chuck for what he's done. But overall, I think this passage just shows stubbornness, just the bad situation that this has brought, disappointment, and kind of a sense of no hope, like we constantly see throughout the book, like when the Welches building a fence right beside another fence later on in the book, and then a constant showing of this is like just Toby's situation with all the men that Toby's mom has been with, where there's like no hope and they just had to keep on pushing through. So this kind of is one of examples of many of no hope in this book. And that's about it.